On tonight's episode, we give our review or limited review of The Umbrella Academy, and Rich pretends like he doesn't know what the Doom Patrol is. Let's get into it.
I'm Rich.
I'm Othello,
I'm Aaron.
and by our fandoms combined, we're Fandom United. So what we want to talk about tonight is Rich's favorite show right now, well, probably Aaron's favorite show too. We're going to talk about The Umbrella Academy. But first, Rich really wants to talk to you about Doom Patrol and why he thinks it's better.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You know, I did watch the first couple episodes of Doom Patrol when it was on. Didn't DC have a streaming service for a while?
Oh, come on. They still do.
It's still
It's still there. Okay, I didn't know.
It will be.
Everything has migrated away from it, but
Yeah,
it's still there.
Here, real quick before we talk about this. Okay, Disney Universe fans, if anybody's watching that has a DC Universe subscription, just get ready to turn that off because they have stopped selling the yearly subscriptions
Wow.
for the DC Universe. Right? They had the monthly, and then you could buy yearly. Yearly is gone. There's no more yearly option. Why?
You gotta buy it by the week now.
Yeah, you got weeks, man. You got probably months at best because everything has migrated away to the different Warner Brothers channels. You got Stargirl that's in CW. You got
Swamp Thing went to CW, which was a weird move.
But what, don't even talk to me about Swamp Thing. It's one of the reasons I don't have
Still
DC
bitter
Universe.
about
I'm
it?
Bitter, real bitter. Best show on DC Universe canceled because drama. But you got Doom Patrol that's now on HBO Max, and I believe Titans the next season will also be on HBO Max. And Harley Quinn
is also on
which
HBO
is
Max.
winning, like lots of awards, getting tons of critical acclaim.
I didn't think
is
I'd
also
be
on
into that
HBO
show,
Max.
but I actually do enjoy
It's
it.
actually a lot better than you would think
Yeah.
when you start watching the Harley Quinn show. If you enjoy Deadpool, watch Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I agree.
It's that same kind of irreverent, right in your face, breaking the fourth wall kind of humor, and it's a great show. Kudos to DC and Warner Brothers Animation once again, knocking it out the park. But that's not what we're talking about tonight.
No,
What were we talking
Umbrella
about?
Academy.
Umbrella Academy. So, go ahead, Rich. How are you feeling about the Umbrella Academy? You're really excited.
Wonderful.
Rich is the only one of us that's finished it so far, so he's just dying trying.
Almost
not to-
lapped them because
He started watching it.
I'm on
again.
my second
See?
round and it's only
Wow.
been out for 2 days. So
It just came out. Okay, well, I'm not in a toy store all day
Right.
with a huge
All you have to
screen
do is just
up.
sit on the screen.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's the sad part: is that I haven't slept. I'm laying in bed
Oh, you
like
binged it.
with the covers over, so I don't bother my wife. I'm sitting there watching it on my phone.
He's all turtled up. What's that about? How is that? I don't think that's not sexy time happening right there.
No.
It's not.
Or if she tried, he's like,
Yeah. See if they're gonna get back to the future, honey. No, leave me alone.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes. Anyway,
Oh God.
you guys opened that door. Sorry.
You weren't supposed to walk through it.
You guys are both there. You look like you're having fun. I'm like, it's a
Please
party.
Tell me your wife doesn't watch the show.
She doesn't like it.
Oh, gee, I imagine. I wonder why.
It has nothing to do with that. She doesn't like Klaus, and I'm like, okay, this might.
Klaus was my favorite.
Klaus is
Klaus
my
was my
favorite.
favorite. His backstory for what he did in the 60s was the best part of that show so far.
Oh, it is so good, and it's killing me that you guys aren't there yet because I really wanted to do a spoiler review and just go knee deep into it. But
I will say that one of the things I do appreciate about the Umbrella Academy is they do, and they have successfully done what other shows or movies, and I'm thinking of Marvel, had tried to claim that they did, but they didn't do, like try to give you an emotional moment, but it's not really, it's really surface. They have some really serious emotional moments in the Umbrella Academy. I mean, just spoilers up until like the first 5 episodes. Maybe, there's a scene where they all meet and it's a family dinner and poor Diego just gets obliterated by some family issues going on. I'm trying not to give spoilers, but
just
their dad just completely obliterates Diego. And I felt that. Like, I felt bad for that character, and to see I don't know the actor's name, but to see him tear up like that at that moment and to like choke up.
And before that, they point to his daddy issues several times.
Yeah.
Building up to it.
Yeah, it was like in boxing, they were jabbing him with it first. You can see how sensitive he was about it until Daddy showed up to give up, the knockout blow, and it's just like, oh, that's harsh.
You know what though? One of my favorite things about that is one that they showed the vulnerability of him, because in the first season he just seemed so like, oh hey, I'm untouchable, I'm dead inside.
He was the what was it? Think of Batman and then aim a lot lower.
And then aim a lot
One
lower.
of the best lines. Oh, there's so many good lines in this season.
Yeah.
And watching it the second time through, I'm like, oh, I need to start writing these down so I can remember to talk about this. This is one we could probably do a bracket on best lines just from season 2, because there's so many good lines in this. But I loved the vulnerability that they had with Diego in this. Actually, everybody they just gave everybody so much more depth, and the first season was great with it too. They seriously did knock it out of the park with this.
I think they've elevated with this next season.
I think
with this
they
second
did too.
season, I really do think they've elevated their game.
I love.
I put them on the level with Watchmen series.
Ooh. Whoa.
Well, they go into some deep stuff that
They do,
Watchmen,
but unlike Watchmen, they got a second season.
But I'm not considering that part.
I'm not bitter about it.
I'm not considering.
That's not it.
That's not what I'm. I mean the depth with like the race issues.
The
they
civil
dig
rights
into
issues,
that.
and that they kind of dug into that, and it, it's so funny though. I mean, thinking about when this was filmed, had to be easily last year.
Mm-hmm.
Before everything shut down, and it's still kind of echoing things that everybody is thinking about or dealing with in some of these areas from a month or so ago,
Right.
Yeah.
or even last week or whatever. And it just seems like it's really, even though they're talking about it being the 60s, it's like they're really on point, they're really timely, and it's almost like they're just trying to say, yeah, we're talking about the 60s, but we're also talking about today. And the crazy part is like I said, they filmed it a year and a half ago. Who knows, when they filmed it, but it's just kind of like, is the writing just that good, or are we still dealing with some of the stuff and they're just kind of calling attention to it?
I think it's B.
Yeah.
I think that issue never went away.
Speaking of the whole race part of it, and echoing what happened in the 60s, I did love when Allison first showed up, the place that she ran into a restaurant to get help, and the guy was like, sorry, whites only.
Yeah.
What are you doing in here? Wasn't no sorry with it though. It was just like, hey, get the hell out. But when they did the sit-in, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That was cool that they showed, yes, I don't know. I love the way that they handled that whole thing. But
once again, that's one of those, just like Diego getting dressed down at dinner. I'm watching that, and that is a very, emotional moment for me. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, wow, like just everything that and then the riot that took place afterward. But it was just it was really powerfully done, and I was actually surprised by a Netflix show about a dysfunctional family of with superheroes. That whole dysfunctional family superhero trapping thing or using the trappings of superheroes to talk about a dysfunctional family, and now putting them in the 60s. It was, I thought it was masterfully done. The other thing I really liked, before I forget, is the fact that Klaus started a cult. That's the funniest thing in the world to me.
It made so much sense. It was right there.
I giggle every time I see it. And
the name of it, Destiny's Child. Oh my God,
Child.
Awesome.
They're not my line. These are just like lines from songs. I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm a fraud too.
It's just, I just watched that. That was like the best part. It's like he's looking at somebody and he's like, don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. And it was just like, it's so
That's the second best use of that song in the movie ever. First one would be the other guys.
Yes.
When the whole thing with Claus saying I'm a fraud, and the other guy coming up and saying I'm a fraud too. It so reminded me of The Life of Brian from Monty Python when he's like running away from the people who are trying to make him the Messiah, and he loses his sandal and is like, it's a sign. He wants us to take off one shoe, and so like everybody takes off one shoe and keeps chasing him. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's the way that cults work. That's great.
And looking at doing some research and everything before tonight's show, and there's so many comparisons to Doom Patrol, because I know you're just dying to talk about Doom Patrol. It's
wait! Before we switch gears, I do have one other thing that I would really like to the opening sequence, and it was the thing that they had dropped before the season actually dropped. They put the first 2 or 3 minutes out to what was like the opening scene of episode 1, and it felt so reminiscent of the opening to Zack Snyder's Watchmen. Just the way that it did, and kind of like told the story of, hey, here's where they're at. And I liked it because it gave a lot of information. It was very visually good. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because so many times I'm dumping on Zack Snyder, sorry. But Watchmen's probably my favorite thing that he's done, just because I think he did that so well, and I enjoyed it. And this almost felt like an homage to that. If you make it through the first season or the first round, go back and watch that opening again. And
I'm firing up as soon as I get home, because I want to finish it so I can finish Transformers War for Cybertron with my kids, because I'm watching that with my boys, and so I want to finish that up. But and not necessarily wanted to switch gears so much as talking about Doom Patrol, but just that there's so many comparisons between the two, because
it's the same concept, but one is done a lot better than the other one.
But see, Doom Patrol is getting a lot of love. Like, a lot of critics are starting to, really come around to it. A lot of fans are starting to come around to it. HBO Max jumped all over it to bring it on to the network, onto HBO Max first. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if Umbrella Academy is good enough to make me want to think about giving Doom Patrol another shot.
Well, you could just have fun with that, buddy.
Like, you're not even going to bother trying.
I watched the first couple episodes because I actually had the Disney streaming, or the DC streaming service at that point, and I liked it. And I thought that it was I thought it was pretty okay. And they just lost me on the rest of the service, and I'm like, you know what? This is really the only thing that would keep me here. I'm not keeping it for this, and gave up on that series. And it was before Harley Quinn came out, and there was another one that I wanted to see.
Titans, right?
Titans. Yeah. I didn't. I watched it all the way through the entire first season. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not sticking through it to see what happens after that cliffhanger, and I'm okay
I will
with
say,
it.
I think
I just leave it to my imagination.
Right.
I'm good.
I think one of the things that Doom Patrol or Umbrella Academy does better than Doom Patrol in my eyes is Doom Patrol goes with, like Robot and I wanted to say Elastigirl, that's not right. Rhea Farr.
I'm so glad that
Cyborg.
Brendan Fraser's getting work, because I
am happy Brendan Fraser's doing work, but the makeup effects.
I liked him as the Robot. I thought that was good.
I think his looks okay, but then there's sometimes I'm like, it's just phone. I hate Cyborg's look. He just looks fake.
Yeah.
The whole, it's obvious obviously it's fake, but he just doesn't, he looks like he's wearing plastic. He doesn't, there's just nothing really, he's wearing silver plastic. I like the way Umbrella Academy represents the superpowers. It seems like it's just much more subtle. With Luther having the ape body, the super strong ape body, he still has skin, but he doesn't look like he's King Kong. He's just a lot bigger than everybody else, but it's not like.
There are times when he's wearing the clothes that it looks like he's wearing a foam bodysuit.
Yeah.
Well, the second season, though, they did more of it with motion capture than they did practical. They changed it and gave him a lot more flexibility, and gave him the ability to act more and not be limited by his movements. So I think that was a good way to go. I mean, they've got the budget for it, obviously.
Yeah, and having that budget though, I think they do a good job of deciding where to spend it. You know, like when they do the powers effects, it's really smooth.
They don't do the powers very. They're very.
Well, five.
few and far.
I mean,
Five's the only
teleports
one
at a
that
time.
really does
Right.
a lot of power
But-
using the powers, but the rest of them really don't.
Yeah, I mean,
It's few and far between.
Rumors is really, simple to do. Diego's is pretty easy to do as far as the CGI knife.
Vanya's, I would say, is probably the one that eats up
Well,
the
the
most
caveman
CGI,
makeup
but
probably,
most
I
budget.
mean, wasn't so good for Diego. Oh my God. Am I the only one that thinks he looked like, what was
He
the
did
insurance
look like
guy?
one of the Geico cavemen, didn't he? Yeah. I keep waiting. I'm watching the season. I keep waiting on him to get a haircut. Like, come on, Diego, get a haircut, bro.
Yeah, they blew most of their budget on the Doomsday scene in the first episode, I should say.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
There's
Most
a lot
of the
going
CGI
on
budget
in 3
went on there.
minutes.
But I love it's more subtle, so it lends itself to a little bit more realism than a Doom Patrol does to me. And I think that might be one of the reasons I just kind of dig it. It just seems like it's more adult to me, even though Doom Patrol is just as adult. I don't know. I think Umbrella Academy pulls it off better.
Yeah.
than
I
Doom
agree.
Patrol does.
Yep.
Well, that was easy. Like, we need John here to argue that
When-
DC is so much better in all regards than everything else.
I feel like John would agree with us too. I really do.
Well,
When I
he's not
was-
here to disagree, so yeah, he does agree with us.
agrees.
Yeah, he does.
And wrestling stinks.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
for you, John. No.
leave that man's passion
You
alone.
should give
This is
him.
hard.
You
I'm
should
kidding.
You should give him his wrestling episode.
He'll be in
Just
here
so he
talking to
can-
himself.
Well, it'll just be us roasting him as he like.
No, we could just give him a mirror and he could just talk to himself. I mean, he probably does that anyway. But this beside the point.
Okay.
Poor John.
I will tell you, when I finished the end, like the last 2 episodes are so good. When I finished, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for season 3. I'm like,
That's, I was like that after season 1 though. I was ready
and that's
to go.
how I
like,
was
let's
too.
go.
And the fact that it left me wanting more as soon as it ended, I'm like, okay, yes, I could deal with another 8 episodes right now. Let's just go ahead and knock them out.
The interesting thing that when I was picturing when they went back in time, in my head I thought they were going to go back to like when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
There was a lot of
going-
rumor out there that it was going to be them cast as kids, and they're in an episode coming up. You do see them, but yeah, that's as far as I'm going to
But
go with that.
it's different if you follow the books, which they're doing an amazing job of, following Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba's Umbrella Academy graphic novel series. You'll know that second volume deals with the Kennedy assassination and all of that. That season 2 takes on, and then there's a 3rd volume, which now I'm like, well, crap. What happens after season 3?
They
'Cause
do.
I want more.
They stray.
I hope they do. I hope they
At
do.
the
And I
at,
hope they stretch it out.
a little bit further than where you guys are. They start straying away from what the
Yeah,
graphic
because they have to
novels
stretch
were,
it out.
and so good where they go, and it's something that's
Okay.
totally different than what was in the books from people. I've not read the graphic novels. People who I know that have, and we've had discussions about this season. They're like, "Oh, this is so different than what happens," and it's great because I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And I think that's a smart way to go with
And
it.
they probably they realized that this is something that they could carry on past 3 seasons. And
Exactly. This one, if they stick to the source material, they're going to outpace it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have another Game of Thrones.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
Game of Thrones.
where
yeah.
you got somebody like dribbling all over themselves.
I think
like
that's the smartest way for somebody to do is you stay true to the source material and keep the essence of it. Peter Jackson was great at that with the Lord of the Rings. It had the essence of what the books were, but he knew, okay, hey, we can go off this way. When they went back into The Hobbit, they didn't stick to that same thing. And like, oh, well, the studio wants us to put Legolas in there and add a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense for us to be in there. But these were fan favorites, so we're putting them in. And that didn't make sense. But what he did with the trilogy, the first trilogy, was phenomenal. And I think they're kind of doing the same thing. Hey, we're staying as true to this as we can, but there's the comic version of it, and then there's the Netflix version of it, and let them be different. Let them be different enough but similar enough that it still feels like the same material.
Excellent. All right, your final word?
I'm excited to finish it. I'm probably gonna binge it tonight and finish it. That's my
Rich
plan.
has already lapped us. He's on his second playthrough. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nope, we're good.
All
If
right.
you haven't watched
well,
it, watch it.
If you haven't watched it,
Twice.
watch it. DC stands. I'm sorry. Umbrella Academy is better than Doom Patrol. I'm not trying to pick a fight. Hey, we got the Snyder Cut. I'm not trying to pick a fight with y'all. I'm really not. I don't have the energy for it right now. So it doesn't matter to me. Hey, you can tell me F you in the comments. I don't care. I love you anyway. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, notification bell, and hit the thumbs up if you liked our commentary tonight. And if you don't like the fact that I don't like Doom Patrol, well, tell Aaron F you. We'll see you next week.